There's a reason why everyone around you is constantly busy, constantly distracted. They're running from the one person they're afraid to meet, themselves. If you're drowning in constant noise, overwhelmed by everyone else's opinions, and can't hear your own thoughts anymore, you're not broken. You're just overstimulated. Today, we'll explore why the most successful leaders throughout history practiced solitude, reveal the three-step method that transforms mental chaos into crystal clarity, and uncover the surprising truth about what happens when you finally stop running from yourself. But first, there's something most people get dangerously wrong about being alone. Most people think being alone means being lonely. They picture sad, isolated people sitting in dark rooms with nothing but their thoughts. This couldn't be further from the truth. Real solitude isn't about cutting yourself off from the world. It's about cutting through the noise to find what matters most. When you're constantly surrounded by other people's voices, opinions, and energy, you lose touch with your own inner compass. You start making decisions based on what others expect, not what you truly want. The world has convinced you that staying busy equals staying successful. But here's what nobody tells you. The most powerful leaders in history knew something about solitude that modern society has completely forgotten. Look at any great leader throughout history, and you'll find the same pattern. They all carved out time to be completely alone. Not just quiet time, true solitude where they could think without interruption. Benjamin Franklin spent hours alone each morning, reflecting and planning his day with careful thought. George Washington would retreat to his study for long periods of quiet contemplation before making crucial decisions. Abraham Lincoln was known for his solitary walks, where he worked through the nation's most complex problems in silence. These aren't coincidences. These leaders understood that clarity doesn't come from more information. It comes from processing the information you already have. When you're constantly taking in new inputs, your brain never gets the chance to organize and make sense of what's already there. But there's a specific reason why solitude works so powerfully for decision-making, and it has to do with how your brain actually functions. Your brain has two modes, focused attention and default mode. When you're busy, distracted, or around other people, you're stuck in focused attention mode. This is great for getting tasks done, but terrible for big-picture thinking. The default mode is where the magic happens. This is when your brain connects dots, solves problems, and comes up with breakthrough ideas. But here's the catch. Default mode only activates when you're truly alone and not stimulating your brain with new information. No phones, no music, no conversations, just you and your thoughts. Scientists call this the default mode network, and it's responsible for some of humanity's greatest discoveries. The Beatles wrote their best songs during quiet moments away from the chaos. Most people never access this powerful state because they make one critical mistake the moment they try to be alone. The moment most people sit down to be alone, they immediately grab their phone, turn on music, or find some other distraction. They think they're being alone, but they're actually just changing the source of their stimulation. True solitude means no inputs whatsoever. No podcasts to learn something. No background music to help you think. No scrolling through social media just for a minute. Your brain needs complete silence to shift into that powerful default mode. Think of it like trying to hear a whisper in a noisy room. Even the smallest distraction drowns out the quiet voice of your intuition. The first few minutes of real solitude will feel uncomfortable, even boring. Your brain will beg for stimulation. This is normal. This discomfort is actually a sign that you're doing it right. But once you push through this initial resistance, something remarkable starts to happen that most people have never experienced. After about 10 to 15 minutes of true solitude, your brain stops fighting the silence and starts embracing it. This is when the real insights begin. Problems that seemed impossible suddenly have obvious solutions. Decisions that felt overwhelming become crystal clear. It's like your mental fog lifts and you can finally see the path forward. But here's what's fascinating. This isn't just feel-good psychology. Brain scans show that during deep solitude, the parts of your brain responsible for self-awareness and problem-solving become significantly more active. You're literally becoming smarter and more self-aware in real time. Many people experience this breakthrough and think it's a one-time thing. They go back to their busy lives and forget about the power of solitude. But the leaders who achieve lasting success know better. They follow a specific 3-step method that turns these occasional insights into a reliable system for clarity. And it's simpler than you might think. The first step isn't about what you think about. It's about where you think. Your environment shapes your thoughts more than you realize. Find a space where you won't be interrupted. It doesn't need to be perfect or beautiful. It just needs to be yours for that time. Turn off all devices. Not silent mode. Completely off. Put them in another room if you have to. Sit comfortably, but not so comfortable that you'll fall asleep. Many successful people use the same chair or spot every time. This creates a mental trigger that tells your brain, it's time to think deeply. The key is consistency. Your brain learns to associate this space with deep thinking, making it easier to access that default mode we talked about earlier. Once your space is ready, the second step involves something that feels completely backwards to most people. This step goes against everything you've been taught about productivity. Instead of trying to solve problems or think about specific topics, you do nothing. You let your mind wander wherever it wants to go. This feels wrong to most people. They think they're wasting time if they're not actively working on something. But empty thinking is where breakthrough insights come from. Your subconscious mind has been working on your problems all along, but it needs quiet space to deliver the solutions. Think of it like clearing your desk before starting an important project. You need to clear your mental desk before your brain can organize your thoughts effectively. Don't force specific thoughts or try to meditate in a formal way. Just sit quietly and let whatever comes up, come up. Some thoughts will be random and meaningless, but others will surprise you with their clarity. And there's a specific way to recognize which ones matter most. Not all thoughts that come during solitude are valuable. Your brain will generate random memories, worries, and meaningless mental chatter. But hidden among this noise are genuine insights. The gold you're looking for. How do you recognize these golden thoughts? They feel different. They come with a sense of, yes, that's it, or why didn't I see this before? These insights often solve problems you weren't even consciously thinking about. They connect dots between seemingly unrelated areas of your life. Keep a simple notebook nearby, not your phone. Remember, no devices. When one of these breakthrough thoughts comes, write it down quickly and go back to empty thinking. Don't analyze it or expand on it yet, just capture it. The analysis comes later. Many people get this third step right, but then make a crucial mistake that wastes all the insights they've gained. Getting insights during solitude is only half the battle. The real power comes from acting on these insights in your daily life. But here's where most people fail. They treat their solitude insights like interesting thoughts instead of actionable intelligence. They write them down, feel good about the clarity, and then go back to making the same old decisions based on external pressures and other people's opinions. This is like going to the gym, building muscle, and then never using that strength in real life. Your solitude sessions are only as valuable as the changes they create in your actual life. The leaders who benefit most from solitude have a system for turning insights into action. They don't just think differently during their alone time. They live differently because of it. There's a specific way to bridge the gap between solitude insights and real-world action, and it starts with understanding why most people resist their own inner wisdom. Have you ever had a gut feeling about something, ignored it, and later realized you were absolutely right? This happens because your inner wisdom often conflicts with what others expect from you. During solitude, you hear your authentic voice clearly, but when you return to the world, other voices get louder again. Friends, family, co-workers, and society all have opinions about what you should do. These external voices aren't necessarily wrong, but they're not you. They don't know your unique situation, values, and goals the way your inner voice does. The challenge is learning to trust your solitude insights, even when they go against popular opinion. This isn't about being stubborn or ignoring good advice from others. It's about weighing external input against your internal compass. The most successful people have learned to tell the difference between helpful outside perspective and noise that drowns out their inner voice. Modern society has made being busy a badge of honor. If you're not constantly doing something, people assume you're lazy or unambitious. This social pressure makes solitude feel selfish or unproductive. You might feel guilty for taking time to think when you could be getting things done. But here's the truth that high achievers understand: thinking is doing. Strategic thinking is often more valuable than busy work. 1 hour of clear thinking can save you weeks of working on the wrong things. Yet society rewards activity over results, motion over progress. This creates a trap where you're always moving but rarely moving in the right direction. Breaking free from this trap requires you to value your own clarity over other people's approval of your busyness. There's a simple way to reframe solitude that makes it feel productive instead of selfish, and it changes everything about how you approach alone time. Instead of seeing solitude as time away from productivity, start seeing it as your secret weapon for being more productive than everyone else. While others are busy reacting to whatever demands their attention, you're proactively choosing your direction. While they're overwhelmed by conflicting advice and opinions, you have clarity about what matters most. While they're stressed about making the right decision, you trust your inner compass to guide you. This isn't about being antisocial or avoiding other people. It's about being so clear on your own direction that you can engage with others from a place of strength rather than confusion. You become someone who contributes to conversations instead of just absorbing them. You make decisions quickly because you know what you want. But there's one specific type of clarity that only comes through solitude, and it's the foundation for everything else in your life. Before you can be clear about what to do, you need to be clear about who you are. This sounds obvious, but most people skip this step entirely. They try to make career decisions, relationship choices, and life plans without first understanding their own values, strengths, and authentic desires. It's like trying to use a GPS without knowing your starting location. You might get somewhere, but probably not where you actually want to go. Solitude is where you discover who you really are underneath all the roles you play and masks you wear. In silence, away from others' expectations, your authentic self emerges. You start to distinguish between what you think you should want and what you actually want, between what sounds impressive to others and what actually fulfills you. This self-knowledge becomes the foundation for every other decision in your life. Most people think they know themselves well, but there's a simple question that reveals how much they're still strangers to their own minds. Here's the question: if nobody would ever know about your choice, and there were no social consequences either way, what would you do? This question cuts through all the external noise and gets straight to your authentic desires. Try asking yourself this about your current job, relationships, goals, and lifestyle choices. The answers might surprise you. You might discover that you're living someone else's version of success instead of your own, or that you're avoiding certain paths not because they're wrong for you, but because they're not what others expect. This question only works in solitude because around other people, you automatically start thinking about their reactions. Alone, you can be brutally honest with yourself. Once you start getting honest answers to this question, you'll face a choice that separates people who just think about change from people who actually create it. Knowing who you really are and what you actually want creates a problem. You now have to choose between living authentically and staying comfortable. Living authentically often means disappointing some people, changing direction, or admitting you've been on the wrong path. Staying comfortable means ignoring your inner voice and continuing to live according to others' expectations. Neither choice is easy, but only one leads to genuine fulfillment. The people who seem most confident and successful aren't those who never face this choice. They're the ones who consistently choose authenticity over comfort. They use their solitude time not just to gain clarity, but to build the courage to act on that clarity. This is why solitude can feel threatening to some people. It's not just quiet time. It's a direct confrontation with the gap between who you are and who you're pretending to be. But there's a gradual approach that makes this transition from comfort to authenticity much easier than most people expect. You don't have to completely overhaul your life overnight. Authentic living is more like steering a ship than making a U-turn. Small, consistent course corrections add up to major changes over time. Start with low-stakes decisions. When choosing what to eat, where, or do on weekends, practice choosing based on your authentic preferences rather than what others expect. This builds your authenticity muscle in situations where the consequences are small. As you get more comfortable trusting your inner voice in small things, you'll naturally start trusting it in bigger decisions too. Your solitude sessions become planning meetings with yourself, where you identify the next small step toward a more authentic life. Each session builds on the previous one, creating momentum toward the life you actually want, rather than the life you think you should want. This gradual approach works because it addresses the real reason most people abandon their authentic path, and it's not what you might think. Most people think the biggest obstacle to authentic living is other people's disapproval, but that's not it. The real obstacle is the discomfort of not knowing what comes next. When you're living according to others' expectations, the path is clear. Society, family, and peers have already mapped out what you should do next. But when you start living authentically, you're creating your own path. This uncertainty feels scary, even when you're moving in the right direction. Your brain interprets the unknown as dangerous, even when it's actually exciting. This is where regular solitude becomes crucial. It's your time to get comfortable with uncertainty, to sit with the unknown without immediately rushing to fill it with someone else's plan. You learn to trust that clarity will come, even when you can't see the whole path ahead. There's a specific mental shift that transforms this uncertainty from scary to exciting, and it comes from understanding something most people get wrong about clarity itself. Most people think clarity means having all the answers before you start. They wait for complete certainty before making any moves. But real clarity isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing the next right step. You don't need to see the entire staircase to take the first step. Clarity comes from action as much as it comes from thinking. When you act on the insights from your solitude, you get feedback from reality. This feedback gives you new information, which leads to new insights during your next solitude session. It's a cycle. Solitude creates clarity. Clarity guides action. Action provides feedback. Feedback informs your next solitude session. People who wait for complete clarity before acting often wait forever. Those who act on partial clarity and adjust as they go make steady progress toward their authentic goals. This cycle of solitude and action creates something unexpected, a form of confidence that doesn't depend on external validation. When you regularly practice solitude and act on your insights, you develop a different kind of confidence. It's not the shaky confidence that comes from other people's approval or external achievements. It's the steady confidence that comes from trusting your own judgment and knowing you can figure things out as you go. This confidence doesn't mean you never feel uncertain or make mistakes. It means you trust your ability to handle uncertainty and learn from mistakes. You stop needing everyone else to agree with your decisions because you've learned to trust your own decision-making process. This is liberating in a way that's hard to describe. You stop walking on eggshells around other people's opinions. You engage with others' perspectives without being overwhelmed by them. You make decisions faster because you're not waiting for everyone else's permission or approval. This inner confidence transforms not just how you see yourself, but how others see you, and the change is more dramatic than most people expect. When you start operating from inner clarity instead of external validation, people notice. Some will be drawn to your newfound confidence and certainty. They'll start asking for your advice and perspective. Others might feel threatened by your independence and try to pull you back into old patterns of seeking their approval. Both reactions are normal and temporary. The people who truly support you will adjust to your growth. Those who don't might naturally fade from your life, making room for relationships that support your authentic self. Don't take these reactions personally. They're more about other people's relationship with their own authenticity than about you. Your job isn't to manage their reactions. It's to stay true to the clarity you've worked to develop. But there's one reaction that catches most people off guard, and it comes from the person who matters most. The most surprising reaction to your journey toward clarity doesn't come from other people. It comes from who you become in the process. 6 months from now, you'll look back at your current problems and wonder why they seemed so complicated. Issues that feel overwhelming today will seem obviously solvable. Decisions that feel impossible now will seem straightforward. This isn't because your problems disappear. It's because your ability to handle them grows stronger. Regular solitude doesn't just help you solve current problems. It develops your general problem-solving abilities. You become someone who naturally sees solutions instead of just problems. Someone who makes decisions from wisdom instead of fear. Someone who trusts their own judgment while remaining open to others' input. The person you're becoming through this practice is someone you'd be proud to know. This transformation happens through a process that's both simpler and more profound than most people realize. And it starts with just one commitment. The commitment isn't to meditate for hours or become a hermit. It's much simpler. Commit to spending 15 minutes alone with your thoughts every day. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just you and whatever comes up in your mind. That's it. 15 minutes. Some days you'll have profound insights. Other days your mind will wander to grocery lists and random memories. Both types of sessions are valuable. The insights days give you direction. The wandering days give your brain the rest it needs to process everything you've been taking in. Consistency matters more than perfection. Missing a day occasionally won't hurt you, but skipping weeks at a time will. Like physical exercise, the benefits of solitude come from regular practice, not perfect practice. But before you start this practice, there's one final truth about solitude that will determine whether you stick with it or give up after a few days. Here's the final truth. Solitude will feel boring before it feels powerful. Your brain, accustomed to constant stimulation, will resist the quiet. You'll think of urgent emails to send, important tasks to complete, anything to avoid sitting still with your thoughts. This resistance is not a sign that solitude isn't working. It's proof that you need it. The stronger the resistance, the more your mind needs the rest. Modern life has trained your brain to expect constant input. Solitude retrains it to find value in quiet reflection. The first few sessions might feel like a waste of time. Push through this phase. The breakthroughs come to those who persist past the initial discomfort. Think of it like learning any new skill. Awkward at first, then gradually more natural, then eventually effortless and rewarding. The moment you push through this initial resistance, you'll understand why history's greatest leaders protected their solitude so fiercely. Once you experience the power of true solitude, you'll understand why successful leaders are so protective of their alone time. It's not because they're antisocial or think they're better than everyone else. It's because they've discovered that their best thinking happens in silence. They know that 1 hour of clear thinking can be worth more than 10 hours of busy work. They've learned that their most important insights come not from consuming more information, but from processing what they already know. These leaders don't see solitude as time away from their responsibilities. They see it as essential preparation for handling their responsibilities well. They schedule solitude like they schedule important meetings because they understand that the quality of their decisions depends on the clarity of their thinking. This brings us to the most important question of all, one that will determine whether you join the ranks of clear-thinking leaders or remain trapped in the chaos of constant stimulation. The question is simple. Will you choose the discomfort of solitude or the pain of ongoing confusion? Because those are your two options. There's no middle ground where you can have clarity without ever being alone with your thoughts. The chaos of modern life isn't going to slow down and give you space to think. Social media isn't going to become less distracting. Other people aren't going to stop having opinions about your life. The only way to find clarity in a noisy world is to create quiet spaces where your inner voice can be heard above the noise. This means making a choice every single day. Will you protect your thinking time, or will you let it get crowded out by everything else demanding your attention? The leaders who change the world make this choice consistently. They force themselves to be alone because they know that's where clarity begins. Your future self is waiting to meet you in the silence. The question is, will you show up? Starting today, force yourself to be alone for just 15 minutes. Learn how to be comfortable being alone without the fear or restlessness that holds most people back. Embrace solitude as your secret weapon for personal growth and self-discovery. Use this alone time to practice mindfulness, reflect deeply, and develop the self-awareness that separates clear thinkers from confused crowds. Take yourself on a mental journey where you can find peace in solitude and use it for creativity and emotional regulation. The benefits of forcing yourself to be alone go far beyond temporary calm. They create lasting clarity that transforms how you see yourself and your path forward. Remember, solitude isn't loneliness. It's where your truest self emerges and your best decisions are born.